Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 7th, 2022 at approximately 6:32 a.m. PST. So I wanted to talk to you about how can you tell if you are on your right life path in your eyes. Now, there's a lot of ways you can look at it. There's a lot of people that will tell you, oh, you're on the right track, you're doing the job you should, this sort of thing. And the reality of it is, from your standpoint, is there something you can do? This is what you should be doing. Everybody knows that you've got such a gift in it. This is not the thing I'm talking about. Okay. I'm referring to whether or not you yourself are content with your life. Okay, with your path. Does it feel right to you? This is not, some people would call it a calling. Of course, many people that call it a calling will say, something to the effect of, God has this wonderful plan. This is going to sound real egocentric. Good morning, Malu. How you doing? This is going to sound really egocentric. But God is simply, in this particular reference, another person. This is what somebody else says is your path. The idea, the first rule of thumb here, is you were given free will, free choice. You're not given freedom from consequence. So if you've got free will, even what God says is your path is not the path I'm referring to. Now, it may not be the right path in his eyes. My parents were not overly impressed when I didn't choose to go into the military, or I didn't choose to fight to go into the military. Okay, the reality of it, from my standpoint, was real simple. Okay, the reality of it is that I didn't like the idea of, and I told my dad, the entire past generation had gone into the military. And I told my dad, I said, look, I respect the military. I really do. But I'm not going to make it my job to go in and kill somebody else that somebody else is upset with. Well, my dad did the normal thing. He goes, there are other jobs in the military that don't require you killing them. You killing people. I said, yeah, there are. But here's the reality. I'm not going to make it my job to supply the weapons and the tools for somebody else to go out and kill somebody that somebody else is upset with. So, from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. It really boils down to an issue of it did not feel right for me. So now I'm looking at the whole event right this moment. The whole situation I'm on at this point. And I have no idea why that's not working, but what the heck. I'm still having trouble trying to get my video to stream what you're seeing, which makes it really difficult to read what is being said in the chat room. Hey, good morning, Dogface. Glad you joined us. When you're looking at your world, when you're looking at the world you're in, are you on the right path for you? Well, the first rule of thumb for figuring that out is take a look here. Does what you're doing feel right? Okay. Is there something missing, or do you feel drawn to do that? For instance, for me, am I doing the right thing as far as writing goes? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. The sad part about it is, the sad part about it from my standpoint is, how do you know? Well, you look in the mirror and you go, number one, do I wake up in the morning looking forward to doing what I'm doing? If you're a waiter, and there's nothing wrong with waiting, if you wake up going, hey, I'm looking forward, I get to go to work, I get to see people that I know, I get to deal with people, I get to help people, and you feel drawn to go to work, you're on the right track. Now, before you go any further with that, if you're not content with the job you're in, okay, it's absolutely critical you do not you do not get up and quit your job unless you have a replacement income. This is just simply the reality of it. The hard part from all of this is there are so many people that have their opinion on what you should be doing with your life. Okay. And yeah, the reality from most people's standpoint is if you don't feel drawn to go to work, you may desire to look for something else, but do not quit your current income until you got a replacement. Now, I know of one gentleman in particular where it came to school. Everybody said, oh, you've got a beautiful talent for this. This is where you should go. So what did they do? They went into university. Okay, they went after their chemistry degree. Now, they were having a great time, but they stumbled across, and this is back decades at this point, upon a point in time when you guys wouldn't even recognize it, when most of you wouldn't. Okay, but this gentleman spent 3 years, and he was pulling top marks in chemistry, and he stumbled across this new science, computer science. Well, 1 year before getting his bachelor's degree in chemistry, he dropped the program, and he swapped majors over to computer science. And that's where his entire life was spent until the end of it. Now, this is what is called being on the right path. Okay. Now, I am currently in the process of writing a staggering amount. If I could get a computer to do half the things I'd like it to, even one of them, as in find the site I'm looking for. Okay, which is what I keep looking for, is how in tarnation do you even get, and let's try that and see what that does. If we copy that and move that over to this site and see if that works. Because I'll tell you, this is absolutely ridiculous from my standpoint. I look at things and it's like, things just don't add up for computers. But if you feel like you're on the right path, if you feel drawn to it, then you know full well you're doing exactly what you should be doing. I have no idea what I've done here. Okay, I'm done playing with this game. Okay, I'm done looking for it. I'll just have to fight through it. Someday I'll figure out how to get this to live stream so I can actually watch it while I'm on the computer. But it gets too distracting trying to do things the way everybody else does them. It just doesn't work for me. As a matter of fact, just to give you an idea, this is a minor sidetrack, but you've got a bank card. Now, I've always told people my energy levels run really, really stupid high on occasion. Well, I had to replace my business bank card because I physically burnt out the chip. You could see around the edges of it that it was all black around the edges of the chip. The plastic card wasn't even damaged. Okay. Now, sadly, I threw the thing out. I let the bank destroy it. But the reality is, even that didn't work properly. But how do you know if you're on the right path? Well, that's relatively easy. Okay, you take a look at it. If you feel drawn to it, then if you feel drawn to get up in the morning and go, this is where I'm heading, then you're on the right path. The hard part from your end, well, you don't want to do that. The hard part from your standpoint is, do you know what you're looking for, what you hope to get out of things, not what do other people think you can get. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Malu. I've been called worse. But, if you're feeling drawn to get up and do something, like I got up this morning, and, before I got on here, I'd already gone through through aspects of the Yldrbac Chronicles to get things set down properly. Now, let's just see if that worked. I don't think so. Nope. And of course, I'm going to end up pulling my hair out trying to do this. But the reality of it is, when you're looking at your life path, it doesn't matter how many people tell you you're on the right track or you're on the wrong track. Until you feel that heartfelt drive here, until you feel that pull, the odds of you, the odds of you actually getting that imperative drive. Like, for instance, the obvious one is you go to the doctor says, if you don't stop your drinking, you're going to kill yourself. Or if you don't stop smoking, you're going to get cancer. Okay. Now, they can tell you that. Every doctor on the planet can tell you this. But until you feel it here, you're not going to do anything about it. Now, when you get up in the morning, the question you have to ask is, am I looking forward to getting out of bed? Do I have anything to focus on? If the answer is no, you're probably not on the right life path for you. That's just the reality of it. So what you have to take a look at is that whole feel. Okay, that whole feeling of what are you looking for? And if you haven't figured that out, this is when you start taking a look at things and going, okay, I don't know specifically what I'm looking for, but let's see what happens if I make this adjustment. Anything that doesn't feel like you're moving forward, it's time to start modifying it. Okay, it's absolutely time to start modifying it. Because if you don't, what you're looking for, I've got myself really distracted with the fact that this computer is not even letting me find anything. Well, I'm trying to see what's happening here. I cannot see the writing properly in the chat room. Okay, and it just annoys me because the reality is I got no idea what I'm doing wrong, or more to the point, what I should be doing in order to make it work. I've gone in, tried for and notify me when it's up and running. That hasn't worked. It's amazing how annoying that is. Needless to say, going into computer programming is not my calling. I've been fighting with these things since I was, since 1979, and I still can't get them to work, which might give you an idea of how little that matters. I look forward to Christmas, but the reality of Christmas for me is twofold. One, in my house, we do not have Christmas music. We don't have Christmas movies on. Nobody sings Christmas songs until December 1st. You don't do any decorating, except the one exception up here, because it gets way too cold. The one exception is if you've got outdoor lights, absolutely set them up. Don't turn them on, but set them up, in my opinion, before it gets really cold. And then all you have to do on December 1st is plug them in or turn the light on, turn the switch on, whichever works, because Christmas itself is supposed to be an enjoyable period. Like, it's supposed to be an enjoyable experience. The problem I run into with it, do I look forward to it? The answer is yes. But I look forward to it from the standpoint of the surprises and the joy that other people get. Do I look forward to it for surprises for me? I gave that up a long time ago. Of course, you got to understand, growing up in the environment I grew up in, I knew, even according to my dad, I knew what was under the Christmas tree without laying a hand on it, so the surprise issue kind of went out the window. Since then, I've been able to piece things together a little better, where I can actually block it out and get some sort of a surprise. Unfortunately, it's not as well blocked as as it could be. But I mean, let's face it. The fact of the matter is, Halloween's not out the door yet. Setting up for Christmas right now is overstated at best. That's just the reality in my eyes. So do I get carried away with it? No. I don't see, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. First and foremost, and I know this is going to upset people, but Christmas itself is meant to celebrate, we use it to celebrate, to celebrate the birth of Christ. A lot of people are hooked up on this idea of Santa Claus and why does he play such a big part? And the reality from my standpoint, first and foremost, the birth date that they've got listed for Christ. And I'm just going to put it this way. I know it's going to upset people. So, sorry. That's just the way that goes. But, in my opinion, the birth of the day Christ was born was not December 25th. However, I got no problem with picking a day and going, that's when we celebrate it. Okay, I got no problem with that at all. But when you look at the gift giving, you got to remember, it was the wise men that actually brought the first gifts on the birthday, on Christmas Day. And so we have it. Do I enjoy it? Do I enjoy the one big factor that I really enjoy about it? And I find this same feeling when somebody wakes up and goes, there's my calling. There's the life path I desire to be on. Okay. And that is that joy of all of a sudden waking up and going, I know where I'm heading. Okay. And I've seen people do that. I watched a waitress do it. It was funny. She'd been waitressing for all of her life, and then she finally got wind of something, and she found an absolute calling to go to work as a forensic scientist. And the look on her eyes when she figured out that's where she desired to be, right? That was phenomenal. Now, the one thing that I have a problem with where Christmas is concerned is the materialistic side of it. All the hype about you got to buy this gift. This new thing is out. Go and buy this. It'll make you feel better. Bad news. Any feeling brought about by a material object or a material thing is fleeting at best. And this is just what I found over the years that I remember. And bear in mind, my memories date back literally centuries. Okay. And this again is you sit here going, do I look forward to what I'm doing? Am I on the right path? I ask the same question. Am I doing this the right way? Well, the answer is clearly not effectively. Okay. But from my standpoint, am I following the path that seems to be where I'm getting drawn to? The answer is definitively yes. Well, look at that. We finally found it. That'll make me a little more relaxed. Primarily because my mind can now settle. Hey, we don't need the noise. Okay, now that we got rid of that, we can actually bring that down. And now I can actually see what's being written. I'm looking at this here, Malu. And you're talking here about was it you? Yeah, the energy crisis is cute. From my standpoint, I look at this. What do we got here? Winter, winter's coming, all right. For me, it's great. I leave my window open. Like, what was it now? 10 years ago, now I sleep with the windows open, but 10 years ago, I was living on the third floor. I was living on the third floor of an apartment building. And in the winter, I would go and sleep on the deck, right? At 20 below, I would sleep outside on the deck. Bear in mind, I had a solid balcony, so I didn't get the wind flow. So I go out, I throw my blankets and a comforter on the deck floor, right? A little bit of padding, little bit being just a tiny little packing blanket, and I'd sleep on the floor for the winter. Right. Now I don't sleep on the balcony because, well, frankly, now I'm on the main floor. Not a good place to sleep. But the cold in the winter doesn't bother me too much. But the thing, as far as are you on the right path for you? Well, you got to take everybody's input and absolutely take it into consideration. Bear in mind, if people have talked to me about, well, you've got to have your life path sorted out by the time you're 20, essentially 2 years after you graduate. There's this pressure about pick a path, pick a career for your life. The reality that I found out is that the massive majority of people are in their late 40s, early 50s when they finally figure out what their path is, what they desire to do for a living. For me, I'm 59 now. So it was just after I turned 50 that I went, this is where I'm heading. To that end, I now have 2 of the novels out. I'm working on putting the 3rd one out. I'm still tossing around whether I'll manage to get it done by the end of the year or whether it's coming out in the spring of 2023. But that's because of the amount of complications I've run into, and literally the amount of wasted time I've spent talking to people that said that they would and that they could help me with the marketing. The amount of money I've wasted on so-called professionals that have made this claim and cost me a fortune, but did nothing for my efforts. I'm done wasting the time with it. At this point, it boils down to this. If you look at the video below, at the writing below this video, you'll find 2 websites listed there. Both are mine. Okay. And both are just recently, within the last couple of weeks here, recently active, which is why I've got to start working on them. But you've got to have that feeling that this is the direction you desire to go. Like, I was working yesterday, and I won't be doing it right now, that's for certain. But do you feel excited to get up in the morning and start your day? If the answer is no, then you haven't found the right path for you for your life. When you get onto the path that you're content with, okay, this is when you wake up in the morning going, I'm going to work. I'm not going to work. I've got something to do today. Okay, I've got something very solid that I'm aiming at. So when you take a look at it, if you're in, and it's a black and white thing. If you feel encouraged to get up, okay, if you feel encouraged to start your day, then you're currently on a path that you're content with. Now, do understand, this may not be your life path, but it is your life path for now. And there is not a person out there that can say, this is the path that you must be on or that you should be on. First rule of thumb, God never put a should in there. Okay, should boils down to somebody else going, somebody else saying, this is what I think you should be doing. This is the path that I feel is your path. It's not necessarily the one you feel. Now, I thought about politics. I did get into politics. I actually became, well, everybody's in politics, but I actually became a board member of the local park society. The sad reality of it is, politely put, and this is not to say that the political arena is necessary. It is designed properly. But most of the people that get into it get so caught up in the idea of what can I do for me? How much am I going to make for me? That they lose sight of the reason to get in there in the first place. Okay, I got into the political arena and was there for 4 years. And I'll tell you, the amount of corruption in just a small community. There were 12 people on the board. And in just that, you know, oh, now Malu, I'm going to have to ask you directly, which, where it comes to that side of it, this is a different direction I was thinking, but which country are you actually in, Malu? And I know I've probably asked this before, but something I do know, that I do know about the United States political party, and you can look this up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Thank you so much, Sir Malu. Take a look at this from your part, from the United States. 50 years ago, take a look at the modern doctrine. Why, pray tell, are we here? That is right in the middle of my way, and I just don't desire it. There we go. Take a look at 50 years ago in the U.S. Take a look at the doctrine today first of what the Republicans are pushing for, as compared to what the Democrats are pushing for. And I'd lay odds you'll find the same thing here, Malu. Take a look at the doctrine today of what the blue party is working towards and what the red party is working towards. Then go back 50 years and take a look at the doctrine then. And you will likely, if it's anything like you find in the States, you will likely find that they were completely the other side. The thing we have to remember about all politicians across the board, all politicians are people. They have their own goals. They have their own agendas. They have their own viewpoints. And it is not a black and white. There is no solid line. It's just you're more leaning towards one party or you're more leaning towards the other. But the leadership and the actions of the members can adjust that rather drastically. Which is why in many, good morning, Kanga. Glad you could join us. In many political arenas, and there's a lot of people that go into politics with phenomenal ideas. I'm going to get involved. The path I'm choosing is to get into politics, and I'm going to make an impact on the world. I'm going to change things to make this a better world. Most people that get into politics get in there for that primary reason. The reality of it is it usually gets sidetracked really badly. Now, again, I am not talking about which I think is right or wrong. That's for you guys. I'm not the one. Yeah, no doubt. I find the same thing. Like I've taken to asking people, and they start talking to me about religion and what have you. I'll ask 2 questions of people, and this is where it comes to a grinding halt real fast. When people start talking to me and start trying to convince me of going to one church or another, my first question is this: do you believe God made everything? 99% of the time they'll go, absolutely yes. And then I'll turn around and go, great. We're on the same page. Do you believe God made evil? And 99% of them go, no way, God did not create evil. I'll look at them and go, okay, you can't have both. You can't have him creating everything and not creating evil. So our conversation just ended. Where it comes into politics, okay, I've considered and I've been told I should get into politics. I have no idea why. I'm not exactly, number one, I'm not about to tell people things to make them feel better. And number two, I look at the purpose of the political arena. okay, is to get people to get along, to get people to function inside a city, inside a limited space community. Now, the reality is, if all people are not being treated the same way, that's not going to work. Okay. And the people getting into politics keep getting bought by either friendship or promises or what have you. Okay. And change what is best for the community to what is best for the individual. And if you think that's working, take a look at the state of the world today. So is politics a good place for me to go? Certainly not. And that, Malu, that is absolutely correct. The funny part about it is I was taught by my eldest brother one saying that worked like a charm. Okay. The more you know, the less you know. And the more you know, the less you know. Okay. And that I know just enough to know I don't know enough. Now, can I speak to all the benefits of politics? Certainly. Can I speak to what I see as the benefit of Christmas? This is the one thing that was asked a little earlier. The one thing I do enjoy. Greetings, Joe. Glad you can make it. The one thing that I do look for. Absolutely, Ganga. Got my coffee right here. Don't go very far without it. Of course, I don't go very far. The one thing about Christmas I do like, and people can argue the point about Christmas spirit all they want. That's their choice. But take a look at the way people treat each other the closer you get to Christmas. Ignoring the shopping malls. Okay. Yeah, no doubt. Hate to tell you this, Malu, but you probably know a whole lot more than many of the people around you. You're just much better at keeping your mind about keeping quiet about it. If you take a look at the couple of months coming up here, we're going into Christmas. Okay, and the one thing I have seen, every religion, every age bracket, every gender, there's two of them. When you take a look at every nationality, everybody around the world, okay, on the whole, when we get to Christmas, even if they don't know that it's Christmas, seem to try to treat each other a little better. Okay, now this is ignoring the shopping malls, because I've seen some horror things happen in shopping malls. But people do seem to try a little more to stay on, to be nice. There's a little bit more leeway given, a little bit more effort to be polite to each other. Now, in all fairness, in my eyes, we're actually setting things. I got nothing against the dentist, Joe. I just can't go. Okay, I literally suffer from PTSD triggered by the dentist. Okay, but the reality of it is, at this point in time, and this is where I really do desire to stay focused on and to help people stay focused, is on this idea of let's focus on the similarities, on helping each other feel a little better. Even the people on the street, and rest assured, as it gets colder, it gets worse. Okay, it gets harder for the people on the street. Now, am I likely to open my doors and let a bunch of people live in my house? Not a prayer. Okay, and don't get me wrong, that might sound hypocritical from your standpoint. I'm telling you, help people out. Absolutely, I will. On the other hand, if I owned a church, if I had a building that claimed that I was using to claim that we take care of the sick, we take care of the poor, you can bet your bottom dollars, if I owned one, I'd open the doors and I'd have the homeless living in there. I would have things that they'd have to follow, obviously, because you must follow the laws of the land in which you are. And again, this really boils down to, is this your life calling? Do you know, is this the right path for you? For me, following those 3 karmic laws, be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. These 3 laws are the 3 I live by across the board. Okay, and that's what colors everything I look at. Now, do I claim to be the best of the best? Heck, I'm barely good at being me. Okay. But I do know the path I'm on right now, as in following those 3 karmic laws and getting this 12-volume saga written and printed. The answer is, yeah, I'm on the right path. Okay, there's no question there, because I wake up in the morning. Those are the laws I follow. You know, everything that comes up, I question right off the hop. You know, the nice little part, you know, oh heavens, yes, it's not only seeing the dentist itself doesn't cause the problem, it's walking into the building. Okay, if I see a dentist walk down the street, I'm fine. It's walking into the building to get them to do anything on my teeth. I go into an absolute nightmare. Okay, and pulse goes through the roof, can't think straight, can't see straight. My whole idea is I've got to get out, and that's the end of the discussion. I have the same problem with the hospital. Now, there's a lot of people that will say, oh, that's just anxiety, or they'll tell me they suffer from PTSD. My first introduction to PTSD, I wasn't suffering from. I was walking through what amounted to a grocery store on a military base, and somebody dropped a jar of pickles, and an airman that had just gotten back from war, he had just been discharged because of PTSD, and somebody dropped a jar of pickles. Well, he dropped everything he was doing, started screaming at the top of his lungs, covering his head and trying to get underneath the grocery shelf. Now, how I knew how to get him to calm down, we're not even going to go into. But that's exactly what ended up happening. As I sat down, I'm like 8, 9 years old, and I sat down with him and helped him calm down so we could get him out from underneath the shelf. Fortunately, the other workers there, when I waved them off, fortunately, they stayed away and left me with it. So we got him out. I was with another lady in a wheelchair, right? And the door alarm went off. Well, there was no moving her. All that happens when you go into PTSD, when you go into an attack, you panic. There is no rationality. When I found out about it in the hospital, it was only 50 feet. Well, probably 100 feet from the elevator door to the outside of the building. And with 7 people trying to help me stay calm, leaving me in control of my walking. Okay, it took us 45 minutes to cross that 100 feet to get outside the building. And then we sat there for another hour trying to get my brain to come back to work. This is one of those things about PTSD. It's not an anxiety thing. Like, it is, but it is so much more. Okay, that you do not talk to somebody about trying to get through it. Okay, and this idea of it'll be okay, you can bet they're hearing it, but the reason it doesn't sink in is because you turn around and everything else is clouding it out. But when we're looking at, and again, this is something I've had to figure out how to deal with. I suffered from a small version of it when it came to horses. I used to. Okay, but that one went away overnight, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how. But when you find the path in life that you personally feel you're on the right one, that's when you wake up in the morning going, this is what I desire to do. Okay, there's a drive to it. It's almost a magnetic pull. I get up in the morning and the first thing I look at, is I'm going, okay, what do I got to do with the Yldrbac Chronicles? This morning, my last thing going to bed was I've got to go through book 12 and take the loose ends and find out where they actually fit. Okay, so the first thing I did when I got up this morning was I went into that document and went through, and now I have a sheet of paper. Remember that thing I mentioned about lists working really well? I went into that sheet of paper, marked down the different points that have been misplaced on the sheet. Now I will go back when I get done this recording, this stream. Okay. When I get done this stream, I will go back and start moving those where they belong. Okay. And I am still like my goal, and I don't honestly know if I'm going to pull it off. My goal is to get the book completed and in print by the end of this year. Okay. Now, if you go to rkeithandrews.com, okay, if you go to that, to this one here, okay, well, that is not what I wanted, because that would absolutely screw me up. Forgot to remove that. There we go. Now, if you go to this website, you will find, well, that is not what I wanted. I do not believe the way computers work for me. Pardon this. If you go to this website, rkeithandrews.com will take you to a website that shows all 7 of the books that I've got that are in print that can be ordered directly through me. Okay, this one on the other hand, this one is just on the Yldrbac Chronicles. See, now again, that's just absolutely weird. See, I just typed in 2 things, both typed in the same way, but it shows rkeithandrews.com gets highlighted, Yldrbac.com does not. Now, this does not make sense to me. Okay, but those are the 2 websites that you look at, and if they're not highlighted as near as I can figure out, copy and paste them or just type them in. But the Yldrbac.com one covers my life's work. That is what I'm driven to deal with. Yeah, that would work. I used to have to blame the cats for that. Of course, in my house, I can't actually have pets. Which works out well in some ways. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get along. I used to have a bumper sticker that said, the more people I meet, the more I like my cats. Now I don't have the bumper sticker, the car, or the cats. But, I know that the path that I'm walking right now, doing the live streaming, that was forced because my computer still is telling me I don't have a camera. And no, I haven't taken the time to get that sorted out. Part of that is because it really doesn't matter to me too terribly much. Okay, because this is working. And the reason I keep coming back and doing this, like I've argued with myself whether I should or not. Okay, when you find the path that you're happy with, that's when you wake up in the morning going, this is what I'm looking forward to doing. Everything else is contributing to my getting that done. Okay. It was funny. I turned around, and this is for those of you that actually play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Now, that's not the one I want. Where'd the big one go? I do not see the big one. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, this is one of the figures I was working on. Because I run a game, I have this character, and I'll show you something here. I actually did it twice. Where's the other one? Elemental. Wow. Okay. Now, I took this figure. Okay. Now, this is the way I bought it. This is a water elemental. Okay. Which, by the way, do exist. Okay. And that's a whole different sidetrack. But here's what I did. Okay. That's the way that they come. Then I turned around and painted one this color because I needed something a little different. Okay. This is a water elemental. Now, bear in mind, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is a fantasy game. Okay, and I cannot tell you how many people have told me it's an evil game. It's no more evil than chess is. Okay. It's no more evil than tic-tac, than Tiddlywinks. There we go. There's a game from the past and virtually nobody knows about it anymore. Okay. But I turned around and took this figure and painted it red because I required something that was liquid but was not a water elemental. So what did I do? I needed something that was a little different for my character, for my players to go up against. And we now have a blood elemental. And yes, that sounds really evil. Bear in mind, we are talking imagination. Yep, that would do it, Kanga. Welcome back. We presume you have your coffee. When we look at any game, okay, games don't hurt people. They're not designed to hurt people. When we're talking, but what I did, my son comes in and he spots this, and it used to be the same color. It was done the same way this one was. Okay, but I desired the bigger one. So it started out like that, and all I did was painted it red. Okay, well, my son comes in who plays Dungeons and Dragons with me, right? He takes one look at it and goes, Dad, that was supposed to be a water elemental. Why is it red? I said, because I required it being red. I wasn't about to tell him what it's actually up against. And for those of you that play, yes, I do have the statistics for that particular creature. Which I may just, as a matter of fact, I think that's not a bad idea. There's a Dungeons and Dragons post that I follow that periodically comes up with, and they'll list off new characters, new games, this sort of thing. New artifacts. And they'll post them as things that they're adding to their campaigns. And I do feel this one worked out really nicely. Okay. But, again, this is something that is the right path. Obviously, I've been playing since June of 76. I was reminded the other day I was introduced to it at Christmas of 75. But in June of 76, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I've been doing that now since 76. So since I was 13, I've been playing this on an average of twice a week. I started writing the Yldrbac Chronicles when I was 15. I'm still working with it. These are two pretty solid paths. Okay, the karmic laws I've been following my entire life. I did spend 13 years in the Christian church. Okay, and subsequently got really, really hurt by them. And turned my back, well, they disappointed my entire family. And in all fairness, it was only one priest that disappointed the entire family. So I walked away from it. My whole family did. I don't even know if any of them now go to church at all. Lord knows they don't talk to me about it. But when you find the thing that really catches your attention, what you'll find happen is that you stay focused on it. And that's where you have your drive. It's and it's funny, I used to deal with that a lot. It didn't bother me too much because I knew I couldn't do sports. At 12, I had a bad leg, and before that, I was epileptic anyway. So I had what they used to call the falling sickness, right? So sports was out of the question. I couldn't get into the I couldn't get into the shops because I couldn't wrap my brain around it. So I ended up going academia anyway. But the one thing I found, and the one thing that particular game does is it teaches people that skin color, nationality, race doesn't matter. You work together. The same thing applies in real life if you pay attention to it. Okay. When you think about it, yes, some people are better equipped or are better suited to doing a job than other people. Okay, but it's got nothing to do with their nationality or little to do with the nationality, little to do with gender. Okay, there are certain skills that certain people are better suited for. But you have to realize, or at least it would be nice if people started to realize it, that regardless of who you are, regardless of where you stand in life, there is no functional difference between you as far as what you can accomplish, given the right training, given the right tools. And this absolutely applies to the whole concept of if you're doing the same job as somebody else with the same amount of experience and the same responsibilities, you should be being paid the same thing. Yeah, and the neat part is, like, there's a shop that I go to where I buy these little things. Okay, I go in and I can get lost very quickly, and a lot of people go in, they'll spend hours looking at these things, and then you turn around and, like this one that I've been working on, you bring them home, and you paint them. These just add another dimension. Okay, you take a look at I saw a thing the other day. My dad, he was just absolutely dedicated to building. Okay. Spent his entire life in the shop, working with people, building things. And our rule of thumb was this: if we required it, he could build it. If he didn't have the tool to build it with, he'd build the tool and then build the item. If he didn't have the machine to build the tool with, he'd build the machine, build the tool, then build the item that was required. There was nothing he couldn't build. Okay, not that I'm aware of anyway. I don't know about the chemical side of it. I know he had a phenomenal mind, but, frankly, he's gone at this point. Okay. Now, the other thing I noticed, Malu, is I know people that will walk into a shop that sells candles. Bad news. I really, and that is, yeah, my dad was. I didn't spend a lot of time in the shop. He tried teaching me a lot of it, and I couldn't deal with it. Yeah. The funny thing there, Kanga, I've seen people, people talk about their height, and frankly, I realize you're up in age now. That doesn't mean you can't be a dancer. The odds of you getting into solid competitions not good. But there was years ago, now basketball players are supposed to be over 6 feet, over 6.5 feet tall. But years ago, there was a group called the Harlem Globetrotters. And one of their people, I think he was only 5'2" or 5'3", by the name of Curly, that was one of the Harlem Globetrotters. And he played amongst them just as well, if not better in some cases. Okay. Well, the reality is, Kanga, dance where you will. If you feel right, dance where you will. I saw something posted. It was funny. Somebody posted on Facebook. They said, I had a little bit of a problem today. I had to stop and talk to the police. As it turns out, walking around your house naked has to be done inside the house. And I've seen too many people. When I was growing up, I used to get told, you can't sing. Well, I quit. Okay, I don't sing a whole lot. But no, if you feel good dancing, absolutely do. Whether you've got a glass of wine in your hand, a beer in your hand, nothing in your hand. Okay. I mean, I run into troubles. Here's what I usually play around with. And this one gets people nervous on occasion. It is this funny little item here. To me, this is a play toy. Now, do I throw them around? No. Okay. But that's a play toy. Now, of course, I do not let my kids play with this. Okay. But that, for me, that's what I hang and what I play with, especially if I'm thinking. And oddly enough, just holding that, I had a girlfriend at one point, and whenever I started to get agitated or started having trouble hanging on to my hand, keeping my hand steady, she would set this thing in my hand. Now, I'm going to show you something here. Okay, it used to be, my hand used to shake that badly. Now, right now, I'm doing that intentionally. But it used to be that bad. Okay, so what she would do is she'd grab my wrist, she'd hold my hand steady, and she'd put the knife back in my hand. Now, that is what I use to calm down. Never picked up alcohol to calm down because I didn't find it did any good for me. In all fairness, it didn't do anything for me. But that's what I call a play toy. Told you I've got a different outlook on life. But, the reality of it from your standpoint, when you find something that catches your attention, okay, that is when you find something that really gets you waking up going, this is what I desire to do. That's how you know you're on the right path for you. Now, this may not be the path the rest of your family went on. Okay, as it turned out, the generation before me, they were all in the military. As far as I'm aware, none of the people in my family went into, I think 2 of them went into cadets, right? But they never got into the military itself. But how do you tell you're on the right track? Do you feel energized by waking up in the morning and thinking about that thing? And do understand, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with money by any means, but money's got to be the side effect. Yeah, I pick it up every now and then. I'm surprised anybody remembers that thing, but the thing is, I end up picking it up periodically, especially if I'm having trouble getting my brain focused on a particular conflict. Like right now, I'm in the process, I've got to go back through part of what I'm writing and lay it out. I use these little figures I show you to pin down who people are, so I know where the fight is taking place. And I move them around just so I can figure out where the action is taking place to keep it a little more realistic. Now, I do the same thing with this sort of thing. Okay, that list. Okay, I mark it down now. You can't read it because I'm moving around too much. But you write it down, and that will help keep you focused on getting the energy running right in your world, in your living environment, in order to get back on and stay on the path you desire to be on. I'm just wondering if I actually left this up. There it is. Yeah, I'm starting to get too many things up and running, I suspect. Oh, okay. Clearly, I don't still have it up and running. There we are. Get that out of the way because I can't really see what I'm looking at. I've got a list of different tasks and what have you that as I go through them, I'll check them off. And, there's a whole pile of things I've got to deal with. So I will be tangling with that. But getting a list together, putting things on a list. And here's all you need for the list. The date you're making the date you're doing it, That's two different thoughts. On the list, every task that you put on it, make it 15 minutes to half an hour in length. Because by focusing on that, by dealing with that side of it, you can check them off. And by the end of the day, you can actually have physical proof, physical record that you got things accomplished. And that's why this particular book came out. And I keep forgetting which one that is. Yep. That particular book gives the backbone of how I took my life from being a complete scrambled mess to being an incomplete scrambled mess. And in other words, I've still got things to do. But I absolutely turned around. Yeah, I mean, I just wish I wish I could put things on a list and go, it's done. And just have it get done by somebody else. But no, that ain't the way it works. Every individual in existence has the same problem. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money you have. The only way you're ever going to succeed is if you do the work. Okay. Now, it's great having the world handed to you, from what I understand. But, the reality is everybody's in exactly the same boat. How many people have you heard of that have thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars and are still absolutely miserable? And they're miserable. Yeah, no doubt. Every single individual I know of, they've got all kinds of money, and they're miserable because they treat people like garbage. The people that are not absolutely miserable are the ones that are being decent to people. Okay, they may not be entirely happy. Okay, I do my best to treat everybody the same way. Of course, in all fairness, sometimes that can be a bit of a problem. Like I got told one day, I was talking to people about this idea of being at a party, being in an event, a gala, and talking to a bunch of people. And when I was asked, when a conversation drifts away from you, what do you do with it? I said, I just walk off. I was asked, well, don't you tell the people you're leaving that you're leaving? I says, if the conversation's drifted away from me, they don't care whether I'm leaving, and they'll figure it out and come look for me if they're looking for me. I was told doing that is extremely rude. Okay, and maybe it is. I don't know. From my standpoint, I don't swear at them and make all kinds of grumpy noises. I just walk away. The conversation's gone elsewhere. I'm not there, a part of it. I don't need to be there. And the funny part about it is I got thinking about the same sort of, the same sort of thing where it came to doing the videos. I spent so much time looking at these videos and going, how many people am I dealing with? How many people are actually listening? I had to get to the realization that this is still the right path for me. Okay, this is the path I belong on, because doing these live streams does give me the time to really focus on what's going on in my world. Okay. And, and get that sort of thing organized. Now, like I said, the two websites that I've got up and running, okay, will give you more information. I've got the one, rkeithandrews.com, tells all 7 of the books that I've got in print, all of which can be ordered directly through me using PayPal. And for PayPal, I use Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca as far as email. Okay, as far as the purchases go. If you go to Yldrbac.com, okay, you'll find the increasing information around the Yldrbacian Chronicles. And I will be adding books to both as time goes on. Okay, I can tell you right now, I can't show you the picture at this point, but the next cover, like Return to Paradise, I've already got all the artwork done for it. The cover that is being done for the next book, which is book 2, the sequel, and really it'll be the 5th book in the series that won't come out for another year. I've already started for till 24, if everything goes well. I've already got the artwork being worked on for that book. Okay, I've just turned the information in to make that one happen. And I'll tell you, if it, like, this is, and it's all being done by the same artist. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is this one here. Okay, that's the second one. The third one's already designed, which is really book 12 in the series. Okay, and when we take a look at the whole 9 yards, okay, I've got all of it coming together. Yeah. So tell me, Joe, as you can tell, I talk to myself an awful pile. Do you ever get into an argument with yourself? See, I usually get into a 3-way argument with myself. I should do this, this is what I'd like to do. This is what I feel I should do, but I want to do this one. And no, I really can't make up my mind. So all 3 of us get into an argument trying to figure out what to do next. By the way, that doesn't work as well as I'd like. But I do spend a lot of time talking to myself, striving to get on track. Now, because I've got things I've got to get done, and I've been on here for an hour now, I think. Yep. I've been on here for an hour, and in all fairness, I've got a few things I've got to get done today. So I'm going to bring this to a close. I really want to thank you so much for joining me. Just a quick note. Tonight, October 7th, from 9 to 11 p.m. Pacific time, I will be on spacedoutradio.com, as R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. So I will see you, some of you I will see there. Glad you managed to come in. I do my best to come in. It's touch and go, Kanga, whether or not I make it in first thing in the morning or whether it comes in the afternoon. But I do my best to get on at least one day a week, at least one time a day. But I will see some of you tonight. Look forward to hearing from you. And until then, I'm going to have to let you go. I've got things I've got to get done today. So I'm going to let you go. And thank you so much for joining me. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.